to you from the Black Swan Media Studios. This is Fireside Chats, talking to the real difference makers in the world. Now, here is your host, John Crump.
Hey, everyone. I've been working on an article about my Ghost Gunner 3. You should see that article coming out probably in a couple weeks here. It's done, but it's going to be a feature, so that means we have to wait. I know the Rogue Banshee really wants it. Maybe I'll just send it to him so he can mess around with it. And no, I'm not going to do that, but I'll tell him that anyway. My name is John Crump. I am the director of GOA for the state of Virginia. I am also a writer extraordinaire for MLN.com. Let me get my plugs out. We are still doing the Mantis 10X giveaway at 2,000 subscribers. I will be giving this puppy away. At every 100 subscribers, I'll be giving away a patch and a book. My book is called Walking with Giants. You can buy it on Amazon, or you can go to crumpy.com/giants to buy it there. Also, at 1,500 subscribers, we will be giving away a $100 gift certificate to Uncle Sam's Misguided Children, which is a phenomenal website with a phenomenal owner. Great guy, great everything. So that $100 gift certificate there, and every 100 subscribers, free patch and book, and the patches are limited edition patches. You can also support me on Patreon at patreon.com/John Crump. Super chats are open. $25 gets you a signed book. $5 will get you one of the patches, and all proceeds goes to my niece who is suffering from DIPG, which is a form of childhood brain cancer. We just gave her another check yesterday to help with their expenses, and we actually bought her a puppy, which is kind of cool because that was her Make-A-Wish, a puppy, and Make-A-Wish is kind of backed up right now because of the whole COVID thing. So we went ahead and got her Make-A-Wish. So with all that out of the way, I'm going to introduce you to the man of the hour. He is the Rogue Banshee, and his name is Jason. But let's bring him on. What is up, my friend?
Hey, John, how you doing?
Not bad, just chilling. I've been working on a bunch of stuff here.
There's a rumor I'm not going to get your Ghost Gunner when you're done.
No, I don't think you are. I might sell it though. I don't think I can really even sell it right now or give it away because it's not released. It's not releasing for another 6 months.
Well, what you need to do is just say, the next person does 50 super chats gets your Ghost Gunner.
$50 super chats or $5,000 super chat?
Oh no, the next 50, $25. You got to do 50, $25 super chats and you get your Ghost Gunner.
I would do. How about $125 because 50 still it would be half price.
Oh, true.
No, I mean I'm gonna keep it. I like it. I like what it represents more than anything else. Which
it's
the feebleness of gun control.
Yeah, I mean, you think about it. That machine is just the ultimate, middle finger to.
Middle finger to you broke up. You froze up there, man.
I mean, you figure that the Ghost Gunner is the ultimate middle finger to gun control.
It is, and that's what it's meant to be.
I mean, it's just a remarkable machine, and you think about it, it's ultimately not a very complicated machine. I mean, it's not like you're going out and buying a big mill and then doing a CNC conversion on it. It's a box that everything's in it, and you kind of just convert it and go.
It is a CNC machine, and the cool thing about it is that it can do other projects, and other people are making software for it.
Yeah, because he did open source that source code, didn't he?
Yeah. I have a guy coming on next week that's made software for it. It's the guy that made the Dangy Dagger. Atlas Arms, they are a nonprofit as well, and one of the things that they did was they made armor-piercing rounds for handguns that do not violate the armor-piercing ban.
Well, if there's a will, there's a way. I mean, there's a lot of smart people out there. They're just coming up with ideas.
Well,
that's kind of how our country was formed. Is there's an idea, let's do it.
Well, the guy that I have coming on that made the ammo, he is the guy that designed the micro shielding for the ISS.
Yeah, he's got a few brains on him.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd want to go measure brain pans with him.
Yeah, so he's actually a unique guy. I think he might be kind of autistic if he watches the show. So I'm just joking out there, often. But he's literally a genius. He developed material that can withstand micrometeors, which I don't know if you know anything about micrometeors, but they travel at like 30,000 miles an hour.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very, very smart guy.
Yeah, it's just that just amazes me sometimes that someone can just sit down and think of that, and not that it couldn't be thought of. I'm sure there's a lot of things I could think up, but it's just that your mind just has to be wired a certain way to come up with things like that. And I look at things and go, I could totally have thought of that, but I didn't. Someone else did.
Yeah, he is a good guy. He's in the same vein as Cody Wilson. So, he will do things just to piss off people.
You know what's funny is when I bought my first AK back when the Clintons were in office, and I remember bringing it home, and at the time I was in college and I lived at home, and my father looked at me and goes, "Why'd you buy that?" And I go, "If somebody doesn't want me to have it."
Yeah, definitely. I'll do that. I have an issue with authority. If people can't
really?
No. I just have an issue with authority. That's why I end up suing people all the time for violations of my constitutional rights.
Well, that's not really a problem with authority. That's actually using authority correctly. It's the violation of authority that was used against you, if you think about it.
Yeah. There was a hit piece written about me, though.
Was there?
Yeah, in the Colorado Times Recorder from liberal freaking guy who works with Everytown.
Well,
they're deciding to target me personally now.
I mean, the second you said Colorado, and don't get me wrong, there's a lot of freedom-loving Coloradans. They just don't happen to be around the Denver area. But as soon as you said that, the first thing went to my mind was some liberal reporter. And it's sad to think that way. I feel bad that I hear Colorado and I immediately think liberal, and I know there's good people there, but damn, the liberals just kind of screwed that state up for me.
Yeah, seriously. Basically, I started writing about Everytown and doing research into these anti-gun groups, and now they've decided, since I'm doing research into them, they're going to come after me. Like I care.
Well, yeah, exactly. If anything, it makes it all worthwhile.
Yeah, I started doing sort of sharing out the article, and I'm like, I don't care. You can't fire me. Like my editor said, like, they can't fire you. So.
Well, the funny thing is the more hit pieces they write on you, the more publicity they're giving you for free.
Yeah. Yeah, my editor was like, yeah, they're just driving traffic to our website, so let them do it.
Yeah, absolutely. There's nothing. There's nothing like using a system against itself.
Yeah, it's really funny. It's like you see every town and all the Giffords and stuff like writing all this stuff about Amy Cohen Barrett saying, oh, this is really bad because if you look at her record on the Second Amendment, that she's going to change gun laws, that they have the ability to declare assault weapon bans unconstitutional and stuff. And we're talking about GOA. We're like, dude, this is like the biggest boost that they can give her for the pro gun community.
Yeah.
We're gonna look up and be like, yeah.
Yeah, it's like bring it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna with all this stuff going on with the elections, it's gonna get interesting to see how the dynamics of everything works with who's going to get publicity on what. I mean, the more that they attack it, the more it fights back, and that's the thing that they don't understand. They're just like, it's our way. This is we know best. We know what's best for you. No, you don't. You totally don't. And the more that you say that, the more you just you get people riled up to fight against you on that. I mean, this is as our founding fathers gave us this right for a reason. I'm a very big believer. The reason why we have a First Amendment is because we have a Second Amendment right behind it.
Yeah. Chris Shoemaker out there says Colorado got messed up because of the liberals that moved there from California.
Yeah. And what's sad is I worry about Idaho. Idaho's just right next door to us here, and I worry about that. We see it here in Montana. We have everybody. They move here for what we have, and then they turn around and make it what they just escaped from. And it's just like, guys, just chill out. There's a reason why. I mean, I moved here from the East Coast. I didn't try to change Montana. I moved here because this is the lifestyle that I wanted, and it had everything that I wanted. And my wife always wanted to live here, so we moved here, and we just kind of just fit right in. But it's just crazy how people move in and just change it to what they escaped.
It is. It's like you left there because it obviously didn't work, and now you want to kind of.
I mean,
I was like, I don't get it.
John, when we moved here in 2000, here where I live in Helena, at 8:00, our traffic lights went on 4-way flash.
That's what I want.
There was nobody around. In 2003, that all changed. Too many people coming in. The housing pricing is just skyrocketing here, and there's no jobs to support the housing industry. So we all know it's all telecommuters that are coming in, and they're just changing everything about it.
Well, like my job. My day job went virtual, so we're not going back to work at all. And a lot of people, day jobs are going virtual. And I know Facebook, for example, once they went virtual, a lot of people, because they're not going back to work at Facebook. I used to work at Facebook, so I know they're not going back to Facebook. So people at Facebook just scattered. They left the whole Bay Area, and Twitter people and Google people did the same thing, and now they're all over. They went to Texas. They went to all the other places where it's cheaper to live than in the Valley.
Well, when I lived in Delaware, we used to laugh because we would see Connecticut license plates just started showing up in Delaware, and we couldn't figure it out. And I found it finally hit me when I was commuting. I was commuting up to New York City at the time. I was like, oh, it's 2 hours by Amtrak from Delaware, or it's 2 hours by Amtrak from Connecticut. to get to New York City. And it's a hell of a lot cheaper to live in Delaware than it is in Connecticut.
Yeah, I mean it's one of those things where it's just it is what it is, man. It's
Yeah. I mean, it's a shame. I'm glad I left Delaware. I'm out of there, especially with the stupid laws they've been passing lately.
nah, really.
I mean,
Different laws.
when I lived in Northern Maryland, we dreamed of living in Delaware just for the freedom of firearms. But yeah, when I lived in Delaware, it was great. It was pretty easy, and I mean, really, the only thing that was limited there was there was no high-powered rifle season for hunting, just because Delaware is so flat that if you miss your target, someone 2 counties over dies. But other than that, it was pretty much whatever you wanted.
Yeah, I live in Virginia, and I can see like things going like crazy here. So it's one of those things where it's like not so good, but I still love Virginia.
Virginia is a beautiful state. When I was a kid, my father was a traveling salesman. He covered Delaware, Maryland, Washington, D.C., Virginia, and North Carolina. And in the summertime, I used to hit the road with him. And I used to love going through Virginia. I mean, it's such a beautiful state. And, it's just, the politics have just completely screwed that state up.
Oh yeah, it definitely has. There's a lot of money being dumped into Virginia from out of state, and I think that's one of the issues with Virginia is so much money's coming. I grew up in Virginia. I was born in Virginia. I was born in Northern Virginia, and it's changed so much since I was a kid. It was a very conservative area until about 10 years ago.
There's a lot of places that were very conservative areas till about 10 years ago. I mean, the building boom here happened about probably about 8 years ago. It happened here, and at least in Helena. I mean, it was in Bozeman and Missoula. Those towns were booming long before this. We were kind of happy that Helena didn't grow. Everybody kind of looked at Helena and was like, it's the capital. It's this little town, this little city in the middle of nowhere. Why would anybody want to go there? And it's suddenly, it like word got out. Hey, in Helena, you can buy a house for $150,000 on a quarter acre, and if you come in with California money, you'd have a lot of land and a house, and your taxes are way cheaper. But all that money started flowing in.
Yeah, what I'm afraid of is some of like the last bastions of liberty are going to be taken over.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's a worry that we have for Montana. My wife and I have talked of what happens if this continues here in Montana. Where are we going to go next? We've debated on Wyoming, and maybe even South Carolina, or not South Carolina, South Dakota. But we worry about it because we're starting to see everything that we moved away from showing up here, and they're screwing everything up.
It's something that happens. It seems like around. You there?
Yeah.
That's happening around the different places.
Yeah, it's just I mean, it's funny because Chris out there with Wyoming. I mean, look at the Weatherbees. They left California for Wyoming, and it's just they had to escape away from all that just evil that was working against them.
Yeah, Joe Rogan left California.
Yeah, that that's fun. That's funny in and of itself. I mean, not that he's. I mean, yeah, he's a Bernie fan, but I mean, it's kind of funny that he left. I never would have thought I'd see Joe Rogan leave California.
Well, he basically said it sucks there. So
Yeah,
it's crazy.
I mean,
He doesn't like it.
I was in California once. I was out there for training. I'm good. I've been there. That's enough for me.
I lived in New York. I hated it.
Yeah, I never had that pull for New York ever. My grandparents, they lived up in New York, and it was nice going up there, going up into the mountains there. I used to do some skiing up there, but I just never had that draw to live in New York.
I lived in Manhattan.
Yeah. You didn't really live in New York. You just kind of lived in like the center of, mega city one.
Yeah, my wife is from Long Island, but I lived in Manhattan. So yeah. And I didn't like it at all. It was cool for about 2 weeks, and then it was it sucked. Like time to get I want to go home. I was up there for work, so I really didn't have a choice.
Yeah, we kind of left the East Coast just because we have this basic philosophy that people were not meant to live that close to each other. I grew up outside of Philly, and I just, even as a kid, I was trying to get away from the city in the summertime. All my friends were going to the shore and all that stuff. I was up at my grandparents' place up in the mountains for the summer. I wanted nothing to do with the city.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
I mean, I was perfectly happy bucking bales of hay.
Yeah, I lived in Tribeca. Luckily, I didn't have to pay for my rent because my company paid for it. You know how much your rent there was?
Probably insane.
$7,000 a month.
Man.
For my apartment. Luckily, my company paid for all of it. But F that, $7,000 a month? That's insane.
Yeah. That's totally insane.
I had lived right next to me and stuff like that, so that was kind of cool. But I really don't like Robert De Niro now. It was kind of cool at the time. I had a lot of visitors.
I never regretted any time visiting cities or being in some of the large cities. But that's just the thing is it was a visit. It wasn't, to be there permanently or anything like that. It's kind of cool to go in and see all the things. It's funny. I lived on the East Coast just about my whole life. And it wasn't until I moved to Montana that I actually saw the Statue of Liberty. And I was commuting to New York every day. And I never saw the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah, that was the only thing. I could look out my window and it looked over Battery Park. And if you're thinking about Battery Park, Statue of Liberty is right on the other side. I'm trying to fix my camera here. I got it set up, so I work out the kinks. Replace cams with M50.
Sorry, you lagged out there for a second.
Oh, I said sorry. I got a whole new setup. I got like a new here, control the stream. I got a M50 camera hooked up. Canon M50, any webcams anymore. So I'm still trying to get all the bugs worked out.
So are you just doing the HDMI out on that camera to use it as a webcam?
No. Canon actually with an update where made it so it's actually you can actually have a webcam.
Huh. I didn't know that.
Hook up like a USB cam. Do audio because with HDMI out, it can't capture audio and transmit it. With the new software that they release, it can capture audio and everything. Not even the audio. They go from I got like a task cam video, which if uses the XLR cables and actually do audio too, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, I've been debating on changing cameras. For all my stuff, I'm still using cell phones for my pictures and my video work, and I've been kind of drooling over cameras. And I think I'm going to sit the camera game out a little bit longer, let some things calm down, because there's some new cameras coming out that are just supposed to be stellar, which brings the other cameras down to something I could probably afford.
Yeah, one of the cool things about the M50 is the one I have, is it actually has higher than like a like my 70D and stuff like that, which is like 3 times the cool. The mirrorless cameras, so more compact, and there's an adapter that I can put on there so I can use all my other lenses. Because that's the issue why I didn't go mirrorless at first, because there was no adapter.
Yeah,
when they first came out, and several $1,000s worth of lenses without that adapter. It's like, no, I think I'm going to skip it. But now they have the adapter, so yeah.
Yeah, it's funny how it's funny you bring up adapters. I was looking at them last night for cell phones. They have the cages you can put your cell phone on, and then they have the adapter so that you could run, I think either Nikon or Canon lenses.
I think they got them for both now.
Yeah, it's crazy the things that people think up is. What are they going to come up with next? It's so funny seeing the pictures. You got this cell phone. You got this cell phone this big, and then you got a lens like a foot out from the front of it. It's like, okay, I understand you can do that. I don't know if I really want a foot of lens in front of a cell phone. I think I'd really want a camera body for that to be on.
Yeah. So, but cell phones are getting so good right now. It's like almost crazy. It's just like it's like I don't know. It's just like, do we really need a DSLR camera or anything? Well, you don't really need a DSLR camera anymore. Everyone's going mirrorless, but it's kind of crazy how.
The only thing that I'm missing out of my cell phone right now is being able to do something where there's a shallow depth of field. And it's not very often, but I have a project that I'm working on that would be really nice, but it's not critical. And it's mostly just for aesthetics.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, if I was one of the cool things about this camera is if I do like live streams away from here, I got like a screen behind me, so it really doesn't matter. But one of the reasons why I want to get it is get it set up so my computers and everything can use my M50 is so I can do the shallow depth of field if I broadcast them somewhere else.
Yeah, and that's would be cool. If I was going to SHOT Show, unfortunately, it's just not going to work out for me this year. But if I was going to go to SHOT Show, I would totally want that. I would want that shallow depth of field just so I could go into, just in case you needed to go into a corner or somewhere a little less populated to do something. But that is the problem with the cell phones is they want everything in focus. And it kind of drives me nuts sometimes.
Yeah, well, I heard that the new Canon, not the Canon, what am I saying? The new Samsung is going to be able to do a shallow depth of field.
The S20 Note Ultra. I have a buddy that has one that I kind of play with every once in a while. Um, and the problem is I use a third-party app to do my video with.
Okay.
Samsung has locked out third parties from some of the higher functions of the cameras and some of the lenses.
Because I have one, and you have the live focus where you can do mess with it. So if they locked you out, that's one thing about Samsung that I do not like.
Yeah. And, it's funny. My cell phone's a Samsung. This is the first Samsung I have. I have the S9, and I love that phone. But then I'm starting to hear about they're getting a little weird about third-party apps getting. Why would you lock a third-party app from the higher functions of the camera? I mean,
I don't know.
That's got to realize that people have other needs that Samsung cannot, deliver on.
That's like an Apple thing to do.
Yeah, it's totally an Apple thing to do. It really is. And it just drives me up the wall. So it's like, guys, would you just start playing nice with everybody? I mean, even if you want to say it's for security reasons, whatever, fine. Give the developers a way to become a trusted partner. And once you get that trusted partner status, you can unlock the API for that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy, but they do it on purpose. They do it because they have their own apps coming out and stuff like that. It's like when they replaced the awesome Google Assistant with Bixby.
Yeah, Bixby drives me up the walls. I absolutely. I hate Bixby. I have an app that I downloaded that I can reprogram the Bixby button.
Yeah.
But the first time I played with Bixby, I'm like, I'm turning this thing off. I totally hate it. I don't understand the big war for digital assistants. Why is Samsung got to have one too? Google's got one. Yeah, just play with someone else. And what do you have to gain by doing that? Which I know the answer is they want the analytics. They want to know everything about the voice and what you're searching for. I like to tell everybody that if you're getting something for free, you're paying for it somewhere else.
What we used to say at Facebook is, if you get something for free, you are the product.
Yeah, totally.
They're selling your information, so you are the product.
Yep, you are. I mean, it's so funny because we've been talking about it for years, but look at the last election when everybody was harvesting all the Facebook information. And it's like, and people got all up in arms, and I'm in cybersecurity, so I'm just sitting there going, I've been saying this for years.
Like that, this is not a surprise, guys. This has been happening. You're just noticing now.
Yeah, exactly. It finally hit close to home for you. So now you're paying attention to it.
Yeah. So you're in cybersecurity. Okay, this is going to turn into a little bit of tech talk, but are you doing the Amazon Cloud, their online convention?
No. So I do a little. My portion of cybersecurity is more on. I kind of moved out of the tech stuff. I still do a little bit of the tech stuff. Most of the stuff I'm doing now is the audit and regulatory.
Okay.
I just got sick of getting woken up at all hours of the night, and you don't wake an auditor up at the middle of the night. So I got a little bit of my life back.
Yeah, I mean, I went into the engineering part, the actual design. I used to do certified ethical hacking, pen testing, and stuff like that. Now I do more of the back in encryption and design, like encryption protocols and stuff like that on the back end. So therefore, operations.
Yeah, I used to do. There was a time I remember I went to class to start doing the pen testing, and I got through the class, And I got to the end of the class. I'm like, I totally don't want to do pen testing. I don't have the patience for this anymore. I just kind of, I think it's cool. It's fun. And I just went, I'm not a red team person. I'm a blue team person. And I'm good with that.
I like
I like it too. There's times I play with it a little bit, and it's so much fun. But then I just come back to I'm a defensive person, not an offensive person.
For those that don't know, pen testing is penetration testing. So basically, it is you trying to break into stuff. It's like hacking for white hat hacking, basically.
It's finding all your vulnerabilities and flaws before somebody can do that and then make money off of you doing it.
Yeah, it's funny how like people make money off things. Like that. Like there was a school system that got all their crap hacked recently. So it was Fairfax County Schools. Apparently, they didn't lock down their stuff, and someone clicked on a button, and they had all their stuff being encrypted.
It's funny is this was years ago. I was at a doctor's appointment, and the doctor had just moved to a new building, and they're all, and he's a one doctor practice, and he's trying to get everything running and still see patients. And, he's got an IT consultant and all that. And I'm just sitting in the room, and I'm like, all right, I'm a consultant. So I just pull out my laptop and I just start writing a report or something while the doctor's running around doing his stuff. And I open up my laptop and, they got Wi-Fi. Cool. Jump onto their guest Wi-Fi. And immediately I can see their entire network. It starts going, I'm on a Mac, and it's starting to see their Mac server and their Mac workstations and stuff like that. And I'm just like, that's not good. And finally, the doctor gets in the room with me. I go, hey, check this out. I go, here's your front desk. Here's this. And he's like, how'd you do that? And I go, I jumped on your guest Wi-Fi. Your guest Wi-Fi is on your live network. And he goes, hold on. He runs out of the office, and the guest Wi-Fi just died. And I'm like, yeah, you might want to be a little more careful with this stuff. The next time I came back, he goes, yeah, my IT guy is not happy with you. I'm like, why is he not happy with me? You should be happy that I found it before someone did something evil.
Yeah, really. I was in the Philippines. Working over there. I lived in Manila for a while, and there was a guy that was next to me, and another expat, which is an expatriate guy, American guy, who would party all hours of the night. I was like, dude, you got to stop this. I mean, I go work at 8 o'clock in the morning, and you're up to like 5 o'clock in the morning every night partying. And he basically told me to F off. But his Wi-Fi was open, and his hard drive was shared. So I found a presentation that he was doing. I looked at his calendar. I shouldn't really even be telling people this, but oh well. But I looked at his calendar, found the presentation that he was going to be doing. He was going to be giving a presentation, a PowerPoint. So he had a video in there. So I downloaded the video. I cut the first part of the video out. So if you looked at it, it looked like a regular video. But once you played it, it went to gay porn.
It serves him right for not securing his crap.
I'm like, dude, you pissed off a guy that gets paid big bucks to hack into stuff.
Yeah, I remember. I started off in Novell in the Novell days. And the company I worked for decided I was going to be a Microsoft guy. This is obviously back before the security stuff, and so I went to training for my MCSE, in Windows NT 4. there was this guy that was in class that just annoyed everybody. And he just happened to be sitting next to me and was my lab partner and all that stuff. And he was a car mechanic, and he was going to go through this class, get his MCSE, and he was going to start making $60,000 a year tomorrow. I'm like, no, you're not. And he finally pissed me off in class one day, and I start doing remote administration of his computer. So I started changing his background, taking an icon away, add an icon on, and he'd start freaking out. What's going on? Like, I don't know. It should reboot. Maybe it's just something wrong with Windows, and he'd reboot. Something else was wrong with it because I changed another setting. Like, in my mind, I'm going, it's your own fault for using password as your password for your administrator account.
Yeah, that doesn't work anymore.
And it was just so funny because he was just going nuts with this thing, and I ended up just keeping him so busy that he stopped annoying me and the rest of the class because he was always trying to figure out what was wrong with his computer.
Yeah, we went down to North Carolina to what company was it? I've been so many different places. It was the company that made the CVX 100. Damn it, I can't even think anymore. CVX 100. No, it was actually a Cisco thing we went down there for. Never mind. It was a Cisco thing. And we messed with these guys that sat in front of us so much. We would go into their router and like program it, like put like routing loops in there and reboot it and like erase. They do like a write erase on their config and stuff. Erase all the config, and they got so mad they started going over there and started kicking the router. We didn't like them,
so I had a contract at DuPont at the experimental station in Delaware, and I sat in the data center, and I'm sitting there, and there's this big old Cisco router, and I mean big. That they were like the ones that were like small dorm room refrigerator size,
like the 12,000 series or the
exactly.
If they were a small dorm room refrigerator size, that's probably 7,000 series.
So it's sitting just underneath the bench there, and I'm like, okay, it's just a dead router, whatever. It's nowhere where we're sitting, but one day this guy comes in, opens the router up, pulls a Coke out, closes the router. I'm looking at this thing like, what the hell was that? And the guy sitting next to me goes, oh yeah, that's a refrigerator. I'm like, well, yeah, I can tell that now. And he goes, yeah, he goes, we're not allowed to have food in here. I go, yeah, I remember signing off on that. And he goes, yeah, so yeah, Cokes are a quarter and all that stuff. All right, no problem. So I went into the fridge one time, and I was like, hey, Joe, we're out of Coke. So, next run. So he goes, no, go get the tile pullers. Okay. I get the tile pullers. He goes, pull that tile up. You pull it up. Well, I mean, and but for everybody else listening, air conditioning in a data center runs underneath the floor.
Yeah.
Under the raised floor. So they have all the soda down under the raised floor pre-chilled from the air conditioning. So when we put it in the fridge, and I asked him, I go, how do you get this stuff past security? And he goes, well, we go through a lot of paper in here. I go, but there's no printers in here. He goes, security doesn't know that. So
what do you do? Hide it?
They take the big paper boxes, and load them up with soda and everything, close it in, and security would never look in the boxes. They just buzz them through. And they're just walking in with soda and, food and all kinds of stuff.
Wow.
And this is where I'm sitting. I'm looking, 20 yards in front of me is a Cray supercomputer. I mean, if we had ever got caught with the food in there, they would have we all would have been just fired instantly.
Yeah,
I mean,
well, when I worked for Quest, I was the guy who was unloading a big juniper, like a juniper M40, fully populated, or no, M120, I think it was, fully populated. And the cards in that this is back in like the early 90s, and it had like 12 cards in there. Each card was like $150,000, and the actual chassis was like 400,000. And he dropped it and broke everything.
Oh.
He's like
that.
He's like, oh my god, that probably cost as much as my year's salary. It's like, no,
Yeah,
no, not at all.
Yeah, that carrier grade equipment, you just not. Yeah, I was never comfortable around that stuff because it was just, you screw something up, that was like multiple times your salary per year that you just screwed up.
Yeah, it's like, oh well. I was like, I looked at him. I was like, you broke something. You probably broke about $2 million worth of equipment there, and he just started like freaking out. They didn't fire him though. I will say that.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it's funny, speaking of carrier grade equipment. When I lived in Delaware, we moved to this one house, and there was no DSL and no cable modems, so it was dial up only. And I'm just like, this really sucks. So I ended up ordering ISDN because at the time there was a law that ISDN still had to be available because of the state of Delaware. It was an old law that was on the books for the video conferencing system.
Yeah, it still is on the books in a lot of states. Yeah.
So I ended up ordering up. There was 3 load coils and 4 taps between the CO and my house.
Well, they had to remove all that shit.
So I ordered up DSL, and they had to run new lines from the CO to my house.
They hated you, man.
They totally hated me. Well, what they hated me was what I did afterwards.
DSL won't run over load coils or taps. The degradation's too much, so it just won't run. But legally, they have to remove them or run a new line, which is incredibly expensive.
So they ran a new line to my house, because I remember driving home one day from the train station, and I see them pulling the stuff down the poles. And I'm like, I wonder what they're doing. And I didn't know about the load coils and the taps and all that until after they got the DSL or the ISDN service into my house. Well, I had ISDN for about a month, and then I took the phone number for the ISDN service and did the DSL qualification for it, and it qualified. And then they were back the next month putting DSL into my house.
Yeah, it's because when they removed it for the ISDN, they removed all the load coils and stuff were run over. But they had to.
Those engineers were pissed.
Yeah, well, a lot of people used to do that because they would order ISDN for like a month because they knew they would have to remove all the taps and load coils and run a new line. Because with DSL, they didn't have to do that. They can just say, hey, you don't qualify for it. But you had to qualify for ISDN, so people would do that. They would get them to remove all the load coils and the taps by ordering ISDN and then cancel it immediately once it got installed, because now they could get DSL.
See, the trick for me was you didn't want to cancel it because they would say no. You had to have that phone number that qualified. So with Verizon in Delaware, you had to have that phone number that qualified. So I had the phone number that qualified, and they were back the next month putting in DSL. And that engineer that showed up at my house was so mad. The funny thing is a year later, they trenched fiber to the house.
Yeah. We were the test bed for Fios, where I lived at. So I got like Fios before like anyone else did. They're like, hey, do you want to test out Fios? We'll give it to you for free. Yeah. We got like Fios for like 5 years for free. We're that's bad. And like, all we had to do is fill out a survey. Is it working okay? Yep, working fine. And this is like most people had like at most like 768 speed at most, but that like 3 or whatever. And I had like I would go gaming, and I had like a 4 millisecond ping, and just like destroy people. because I would be able to like kill them before they even saw me.
You were always elected the host on Xbox Live.
Yeah, but yeah, I would have so like it was great. Uh, yeah, back in the day, man, there were some crazy. There was some. I got stories that I could tell. Back in
I do too.
like
So
people don't realize um we would not have the internet if it wasn't for, I'm gonna mispronounce it because it will flag my video, prawn.
yeah,
Figure that out. There would be no internet. Back in the late
yeah.
90s, 50% of all internet traffic was that.
Oh yeah. It's. I
Literally
mean,
50%.
you think about it. When I used to do all the security stuff and put in the new firewalls and all the content filters, it used to be funny because we would put the content filters in, but they weren't blocking. They were just in listen mode, and we used to see some stuff going through that you're just like, we go back to the customer going, man, you need to get control of this because you have an HR issue in your company. You just don't know it yet.
Yeah, well, I worked a couple of different stories. I worked with a guy that used to watch some like really crazy stuff, like full screen. You would just hear it, and there's a guy named Uzo, really cool guy. The guy that was named John. He sat in front of me. Uzo sat behind me. So in the cube, this was like Quest. So Uzo stood up and was like, "Hey, John," talking to me. Or you could say, "Hey, Crump," because he used to call me Crump. And all of a sudden he goes, "What the F is that?" What? He's like, started pointing like that, looked over, and there was like some people dressed up as horses and stuff. I was like, what the hell? But that guy got fired eventually.
That's the thing, and I used to tell people, even when I run networks, I tell people, I go, look, I don't care what you do at home. Whatever you do at home, that's you. You just don't do it on this network. If you do it on this network, you'll eventually get fired. And if I don't find it now, I eventually will find it.
Well, he didn't get fired for that. He got fired because he accidentally took down the Midwest for Quest.
Well, yeah, that would do it.
And then left it down and went home.
Oops. Yeah, that's it. I mean, how much money did they lose on that outage with SLAs?
Millions.
Yeah.
Literally millions. And I'm not even exaggerating. I'm talking about like not even like the 7 digits, probably in like the 9 digits.
Yeah. It's when you're in the carriers, it doesn't take long to rack up. I mean,
every minute you're losing millions of dollars.
Yeah.
That's why I'm glad I don't work there, because it's really high stress when something goes wrong. And something will go wrong, and people start freaking out because the company's hemorrhaging money at that point.
Yep.
And everyone's freaking out because just people don't know that like big companies like Google and stuff, they don't have their own networks. They go to they hook up to carriers like an AT&T, a Verizon, these big carriers. So a Quest, another one, CenturyLink, which is now Quest, but and so they have SLAs. So like every minute that they're down, these companies are losing money.
Yeah, it's every minute they're down. That's another gun that could have been 3D printed.
Yeah. So how's the 3D printing stuff going?
Good. I've been laying off of it for a little while. Because for me, I'm just trying to finish up my summer content. I got another probably about a month or a month and a half of probably about almost 2 months of content to finish before I switch over to winter content. Just because it gets so nasty here. I've already started filming winter content. We have not been to the range in 3 weeks now because it's just been kind of nasty, high wind, cold. Even some of the summer content I'm doing now in the outtakes. It's the I remember saying my hands are cold because it's freezing down there, and then you add the wind chill to it. It's nasty. So
you still have shorts.
What's that?
I'm still in shorts.
Well, it's funny because I'm still in shorts on that video too. But I mean, when it gets cold here, it gets cold fast. And the range I shoot in is in a canyon with the interstate going through it. So the winds whip through that canyon, and you'll get cold quick. So I've just been kind of heads down working on that. I found a 3D print that I really like. It's a magazine. I can actually show it. You load it into your magazine, and it puts the follow. It lowers the follower down so that when you're doing your dry fire, when you rack your slide, it doesn't lock the slide open.
Oh, really?
So yeah, so it's kind of I've been playing with those, and they have it for 9 and 40, and then I played around with my slicing software to get 45. It's a little bit bigger. I had to play with it, and now I got one for 45 as well. So now when I'm playing around with the Mantis, I probably just dropped out there for a second, didn't I? So now my slide doesn't lock back when I'm doing dry fire, which is really kind of cool.
Yeah,
and found it on Thingiverse.
Oh, that's cool. I had a little device that would do that. Somebody sent it to me. I think it was from concealedcarry.net. They had it on there. They did the same thing.
Yeah. There's also one, I think SwitchPod did a review of it, where they have a weight that goes in your magazine, and then this thing slides over top of it. So now you have a weighted magazine that the slide won't lock open on either. So when you're doing your dry fire, you get the full weight of the gun.
Yeah. Mantis sent me something called a Blackbeard, which is for an AR, and it resets the AR trigger so you can dry fire an AR.
Yeah, I'm kind of jealous about that right now. I'd love to. I want to get my hands on one of those, and I'm too busy spending money on tripods and other stuff right now to buy one of those. But eventually, I want to get one of those Blackbeards. It's
just ask for it. Cool. Maybe they'll give it to you.
Yeah, I could, but I'm still producing content for the X10, and so I don't want to get greedy, but I might ask Austin. Austin, if you're watching, you can just drop me a line or just mail me one. That'd be great too. But no, I don't want to get greedy. Even when I was talking to Austin about the X10, I was talking. We were exchanging emails, and he's like, "Well, what do you want?" And I go, "Well, I'm sure you get a lot of requests for the X10, but I'll shoot anything you want. What do you want out there?" And the next email was X10 it is. I'm like, okay, I guess I'm getting an X10.
Really cool guy.
He is. I like talking to him. And he's been making rounds. I know he was on your show, and he's made a bunch of other podcasts lately too. So that if there's a time for that company, it's now. He's got a great opportunity with the price of ammo to push that product.
Yeah, he definitely does. I actually talked to him about that. He's like, "Yep."
So, but yeah, it's one of the things I could ask him, but I want to make sure that I'm producing good content for him before I ask for something else.
Yeah, I mean they're really responsive. If you say, "Hey, I think that you should change this," they actually take that to heart. I've
had problems where it was like I got an error on my X10 one time. It's like it was a failure with their algorithm. It was like algorithm failure. And right from the app, I opened up a ticket, and 2 hours later, I had an email back from them going, "We fixed the problem. It's already updated on your device." And I'm just like, crap, that is awesome. And I remember sending that to Austin. He's just like, I'm glad that they're doing their job. You know, we got some pretty awesome people. So he was glad to hear that come back.
Yeah, they are really smart. I really like that company. All right, man. Well, we've been on for an hour, and I have to go to a meeting at my church because my kids are going to make his first communion this year.
Awesome, dude.
According to the Washington Post, I'm a member of a cult because that's what they call the Catholic Church because of Amy Cohen Barrett.
Yeah.
We didn't even get to talk about the debates tonight, but I guess I'll talk about that on Thursday because I have scouts tomorrow. So I'll be back on Thursday, and then I'll be back on Friday. But thank you for coming on, man. It was fun.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. It's always fun getting on your show and just the two of us just sitting here kind of chatting about different things.
Most of the stuff wasn't even gun related, but
no, we kind of looped it around at the end, though.
Yeah. All right. Anything you want to plug before you go?
You can find me on just about every platform. Just you can go into Google and search the Rogue Banshee, and you will find my webpage or my YouTube channel or Full 30 or Instagram, whatever. Just about anything the Rogue Banshee, you'll find me. I have a video coming out, I guess, Sunday night. We're revisiting the Polymer 80 P320 grip module that I'm just kind of doing the last bit of editing right now to get ready for Sunday.
Nice. All right, man. Well, I will let you go. Find all my stuff at crumpy.com. And thank you, BlackSwanTactical.com for sponsoring me, which is actually my t-shirt company. So it's actually me.
I need to talk to you about that offline.
Well, yeah, if you want to get, because I'm doing gorillas and guns, we're doing some designs there. We got Sandhill shooters up there. So I'm doing a lot, and all the profits that I make from BlackSwanTactical.com actually goes to my niece as well. Because honestly, my consulting business, where I consult on security stuff, that's where I make my money at. Everything else just goes to my niece.
That's awesome.
All right. I'll see you guys Thursday. I'm going to drop the outro, and then we'll get out of here. By the way, stay around for 1 second, Rogue Banshee.
Okay.